Hi, in this video I will be explaining the effects of cold exposure and how to effectively use cold exposure to enhance your performance as an athlete. First of all, cold exposure has a lot of positive effects. Some of those effects are an increase in white blood cells, so basically you improve your immune system, blood circulation to your muscles improves, increased metabolism, an increase in dopamine, and the most important aspect for athletes, faster recovery from training. This brings us to the after-training protocol for athletes. When cooling the body, you will recover quicker after a training session. This should be done at a temperature that is low enough that you don't feel comfortable. This can be done by having a cold shower or a cold bath. Don't use a hot shower after the cold bath or shower. By letting your body reheat itself, you promote the blood flow to your muscles. You will feel less sore after the cold exposure, which helps you to be ready for the next session. This is why using cold exposure after training is useful if you have lots of consecutive sessions in a week and feeling sore might impair your performance during these sessions. However, cooling the body after training does limit the growth of muscle to a certain degree. When you are trying to gain as much muscle as possible, try to stay away from cold exposure. In professional sports, most athletes already train this way. They use cold exposure during the season, where they have lots of training sessions and their games. When they get to the off season and want to put on some muscle, they avoid cold exposure.
I'm gonna do a recovery sessions after the games. It's fantastic to recover. Come with me. Cold water is the best.
So basically, cold exposure helps you recover from training. Cold exposure also limits muscle growth to a certain degree. So use cold exposure when you have a lot of consecutive training sessions where you need to be sharp. When you are trying to put on some muscle mass and maybe don't have as many training sessions, then don't use cold exposure.
If your goal is recovery or strength improvements, using cold within the 4 hours following a work, you are likely short-circuiting the improvements that you're trying to create.
Recent studies have shown that cooling the palms of your hand, feet or your face
Damn! Look at my fucking forehead!
in between sets helps increase output tremendously. Test subjects increased the amount of pull-ups they were able to do in a set time threefold compared to when they weren't using the palm cooling technique. In the study, the test subjects used a metal rod cooled down to the right temperature, which they held in their palms for anywhere between 10 to 30 seconds. The metal rod was just below the temperature of the surface of the hands of the test subjects before training. If you use a temperature that's too low, your palms will shut its pores and won't help you cool down. If the temperature is too high, you won't cool down. You can replicate this cooling technique using, for example, a cold can of soda or bathing your hands in cool water. If you want to learn more about cold exposure, I recommend watching the Andrew U Women podcast. I've linked down below.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的设置。